All right, I clicked record. And I got to come over here. I'm not even ready. And... The straight face that you kept that whole time was incredible. I think you were in the zone and weren't really paying attention to what's going on, but that was Barefoot Becky.
I was going to say, was that a Carl Germschmidt original?
That's not Carl Germschmidt. That's Barefoot Becky and the Ivanhoe Dutchman, Josh. I will ask you to pay respect to where their respect is deserved. That's some beautiful stuff you got there. I'm sure you could hear it at a wedding and a senior living home.
Maybe a folk concert.
Well, we don't go to those. We don't like to associate with folk here at the Hood Pod.
I guess that's true. We're too hood for that.
That's true. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. I am one of the lovely hostesses, the Garlic Johnson. I am joined by our other lovely hostess, Joshua Mitchell. Joshua, say hi to the folks.
Hi, folks.
I like how we do the same thing almost every time, and as soon as I start talking, you take possibly the biggest mouthful of cheddar popcorn anyone's ever taken.
White cheddar.
That's okay. Well, that's beautiful. We have an email address, hiddenoaksoverdose@gmail.com. If you ever want to reach out to the show, just like our good friend Brian Knupp has done the most consistently out of anyone. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/hoodpod. I tend to post there before all the shows and after all the shows are live, so feel free to hit us up there with messages or comments on our posts or whatever you got. A new way to engage with the show, we have launched ourselves on Anchor. So Anchor is a podcasting host, kind of like how we already have our podcast hosted. So we're not going to host our podcast there because I don't think Anchor is going to be around for a long time. But we are distributed on there, and you can leave us voice messages on Anchor. We already have one today, so we'll play that later. But just know you can go to anchor.fm/hoodpod, and you can leave us voice messages that way, or download the Anchor app. Just look us up, Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix, and you can leave us voicemails through the app on your phone as well. We have our segment start times down in the description below, so if you want to skip around and listen to certain segments, totally understandable. And then Levi Oki, thank you so much for that beautiful illustration everyone can currently see. Levi Oki illustration on Instagram is his handle. Josh, how's it going?
Good, I guess. I showed you the video of my chisel. That thing cuts.
You do have a chisel. What inspired you to get new chisels?
Well, my old ones were bent, bruised, and broken. I spent $10 for 4, so I decided maybe I'd splurge a little bit, get myself a decent pair from the Czech Republic.
$20 for 4? What are we talking here?
40.
$40 for 4?
And that's still a cheap set.
Josh!
Yep. And then I got myself a Japanese whetstone. The instructions are written in Japanese.
Do you know how to speak Japanese?
No, but I know how to use a whetstone. So I soaked it in water. Then I said, "Good job, buddy." And then I ran my chisel across it a couple times until it got to the point where it could just slice paper.
You know, that "good job, buddy" is underrated. You know, the chisels really need that moral support to be able to get through the day. So, I think you know what you're doing, and you're going to be a great father someday.
Yeah.
If Kai is any indication, so.
Yeah, good job, buddy.
Do you just want to get right into the hot takes?
No, I want to ask you how your day is. How's it going?
That might be the most aggressive "how's it going" of all time. I'm doing good. Could be better, could be worse. Can't complain. Got the greatest roommate in the world, so I got that going for me.
Where?
Range, that is correct. Nothing's new in my world since last week. So Fortnite Season 2's out, or Fortnite Chapter 2 is out. So I spent last night doing that. Other than that, yeah, nothing crazy is going on.
Sounds fun. All right, now we can move on.
All right, Josh, you're going to allow us to move on. Are you sure?
Someday.
All right. Well,
And that day is today.
All right, well, let's move right into the hot takes, Josh. I'll just jump right in. This year, I like the Jets. The Jets are currently 1-4. Of course, Sam Darnold missed the last 4 weeks with mono, and they lost week 1 against the Buffalo Bills. I think it was like 17-16, so 1 point loss there. Despite the fact that the Jets are 1-4, I like them to go potentially 9-7 and be a fringe playoff team this year. So that's my hot take, is that the Jets are going to turn it around, potentially go 9-7, maybe better, and make the playoffs, maybe in the 6th seed.
My hot take for this week, I started typing it, and it wasn't necessarily a hot take up front because I said that the Rams are going to suffer from Super Bowl hangover and miss the playoffs.
Yep.
And I added to it. And I said, but they're going to finish last in the division.
They're going to finish behind the Cardinals, Josh.
Cardinals are 2-3-1. Rams are 3-3.
I mean, I guess that's a spicy meatball right there, Josh. Last, that's true to the spirit of the segment. That is a hot take. I like that.
That is a hot take. Don't judge.
I guess I didn't read it because you just typed it in right before the show. But even still, just hearing you say it caught me off guard a little bit. That just goes to show
how much thought I put into it. Waiting all the way up until this last moment to type it in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's been sitting in your mind all week, and you're like, "Oh, this is going to be a good one. I know this is going to be a good one." And then you're like, "All right, it's time."
Absolutely.
All right, so that's our hot takes. We'll move right on. So we don't really have a good segment name. So this used to be the part in the show where we would talk about news. Now it's kind of moved on to, I do have a couple news bullets in there just because it's cool stuff. But then we also talked about doing fan interaction. And I know that I have a podcast with potentially, realistically, 8 to 12 listeners. We're not going to get fan interaction each and every week. So I could come up with discussion questions each week. But anyways, so we're moving on to that segment of news/fan interaction/discussion questions. First news item, Josh. I'm sure everyone was glued to their TVs and computers for this. The XFL drafted yesterday and today. Did you watch the excitement?
I was there.
You were were you drafted?
Yeah.
Which team do you play for? Can you name any of the XFL teams?
The Duluth Eskimo.
That's it.
Nerds.
That's the Duluth Eskimo Nerds. Was that one word or Eskimo Nerds?
It was all one word.
Eskimo Nerds?
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. All right, so Josh officially plays for the Duluth Eskimo Nerds in the XFL, everybody.
Yep.
What position do you play?
All of them.
Sick, dude. You're not going back to the fullback like in college?
Nope.
All right. So the XFL had their draft. I think that's cool. They're going to kick off here after the NFL season, so I'll probably tune in just out of football withdrawal. The Rams were busy yesterday. They had like a total of 3 trades. Marcus Peters went to Baltimore. Jalen Ramsey, now a Ram. So that's pretty much the happenings around the league that are of note. We also have received an email, so we'll pull that up right now, and I'm almost 100% prepared, maybe 95% prepared for that.
You've got mail.
We got an email from, a little foreshadowing, Josh. Brian Knupp has emailed us the most consistently. He sent us an email this week. He says, "Hey guys, love the Grum.
We're not common.
I think it is time to give a shout out to the Gophers. 6-0 for only the second time in my life. And let's just say Brian is seasoned." Are you saying no? What are you saying no to?
I'm not going to shout out to this team.
Oh, okay. Well, he said, "Gar, nice pick of Cousins for stud. Only halftime now, so he could go backwards, but looks good."
Yep, I saw that email and I laughed and I was like, I really hope he does, because how much of a collapse would it be to lose points to become a dud? Because wasn't he projected like 12?
He was projected like 13, yeah.
Yeah, and he ended up, I think he had like 25 at half or something.
Yeah, so Brian very brave, emailing us 1:50 p.m. Sunday, right, like he said, halftime of the Vikings game, so...
Yeah, it's not that it's a Viking. I would have loved to see any quarterback drop that many points in a half.
Just how many fumbles or interceptions would that be?
Jameis Winston.
Hey, Jameis Winston in one of my leagues, despite having almost 7 turnovers, actually 5, he ended up having like 17 fantasy points still, which I think is a testament to what Bruce Arians has going on over there. But yeah, still, I know what you're saying. So yeah, do you know anything about college football, Josh?
No, I was just joking. I mean, we can give him a shout out. Go Gophs, Sky U-Ma, the works.
Roll the boat.
Roll the boat. Yeah, they're 6-0, but first 3 were non-conference play. Those guys are essentially just the warm-up games, like they call them in the longest yard. Sorry, I had to swallow my bite. And then they played a depleted Nebraska team, missing their starting quarterback. And yeah, they kind of blew them out of the water. And they're playing Rutgers this week. So they have a solid chance of being 8-0, and then we'll get to talking. But they find a way to shoot themselves in the foot at some point.
Well, right, so they're 6-0, and then they play Rutgers, which I think they're like 29-point favorites. So
yeah,
wouldn't that be magical to lose? So that'd be 7-0, and then I think they play Penn State the next weekend. So Penn State has the potential to be 8-0. So if we beat Penn State, then we'll be up there. But yeah, I don't really know much about college football. I intentionally don't follow it. Just because I don't know. The only thing I really follow is the NFL. I'm not interested in baseball, hockey, soccer, basketball. So I don't know. But
we're talking sports here. You didn't have to bring up soccer.
Shout out to the Gophs though. 6-0 is good. We're gonna be almost guaranteed to be 7-0 after this weekend. I'm sure I just jinxed it for the Gophs, but I mean we'll see. PJ Fleck has been talking a big talk, so we'll see if he has finally put it together the way he wants. Who knows? But it's looking good. And then, of course, he gave me credit for picking Cousins as a stud, and I'm a stud myself, so a stud recognizes other studs, So that's the way she goes. But that was not our only interaction this week.
You've got voicemail.
We also got a lovely call-in, a first ever call-in from, well, actually, I'll just play it. We'll just play it, and we'll discuss it after we play it.
What's up, boys? It's your boy, Jay Beasy. I'll try to make this quick. So for a lock, I'm going to do lock and upsets here real quick. For a lock, I'm going to give easy one, San Francisco over Washington. I think it's too easy. -10 favorite there from San Francisco. Easy choice. Upset's been a little tougher. I wanted to say New Orleans over Chicago as my upset. -3 there from Chicago. Teddy was held off a bit this last week, but Teddy Train held it down for him. But I'm worried about Chicago after the bye. I think they're going to come out hot. Their defense is going to be good. They've been a little shaky before that. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Philly over Dallas. Per my conversation with Garlic, I think Dallas is headed downhill really fast. And hopefully Deshaun Jackson comes back on this next week. So, yeah, that's what I got. Have a good week, boys.
That was your boy Jay Beasy. I've never called him that. I shouted. Have you ever called him Jay Beasy?
Maybe.
Okay, well that was the Jay Beasy. So nothing really to discuss there. I mean, we talks about locks and upsets later. San Fran over Washington. I think that's mine as well. And I guess I don't know how you would feel about it, Josh. Do you think, since it's not his pick, we can discuss it just briefly. Do you think New Orleans could upset Chicago this week?
Anything's possible if you believe.
Thank you for that, Dr. Science, aka Winnie
No,
the
I mean
Pooh.
I think it is possible. Kamara might not play, which makes it a little bit tougher. But if they're in Chicago, so it's definitely going to be rough. I don't know. Is Trubisky back?
I honestly don't know. I don't know if
We're
Trubisky's
good.
back
We're
or
good
not.
at paying attention to things.
Well, I mean, either are they that different, Chase Daniel or Trubisky?
Trubisky can run. That's about it. But I would say I think they have a good chance of upsetting them. I do like his pick of Philly over Dallas, though, because Dallas is...
Yeah, we'll get into it. Jesus, I'm a mess over here. But yeah, we'll get into it later. But Doug Peterson came out and guaranteed a win this weekend. So
he stepped back on it. He said he has confidence in his boys.
Doesn't matter, Josh. He said it, and the media machine got spinning. And that includes us these days, believe it or not. So
your media?
Well...
Lowercase everything?
I would say lowercase m on the media, but yes. So thank you, Jay Beasy, for calling in. Don't forget anchor.fm/hoodpod or download the Anchor app and look us up that way. Appreciate that, Jordan. Hopefully we'll get more voicemails week in, week out. So Josh, I know I've been talking about shortening up the pod the last couple weeks, but ultimately I thought about it. No one else has really complained of the people who still listen. I think Nate liked him shorter, Derek liked him shorter, but I don't think they listen. So until someone complains about us being too long.
I think we're too long.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you want the podcast to be like 5 minutes.
Are we done yet?
I mean, we're at 14 minutes right now.
All right, no. I mean, I don't care. I think they thought it would be too long if we sat here and read through all the scores for our outcomes. So that's different than what we do nowadays. So
Well, so the reason I bring it up is I wrote down a couple things we could discuss if you wanted to, but again, if we're in the spirit of just kind of moving along and getting through the pod and potentially under an hour, we could skip them, come back to them another time. But I have two things written down. One would be now, one would be later. Are you interested in discussion questions or?
sure.
All right, Josh. Well, we were going to get into it at the Packers matchup. We'll just slay the beast now. And it's not just the Packers game, but how do we feel about the refs in the NFL? Everyone's talking about it. How do
Like
we
on a
feel?
grading scale? Do you want me to give them?
You can grade them if you want.
All
but
right, so on the Josh Mitchell patented 47-point grade scale, I give them a 62.37.
out of 47?
Yep.
Okay, and what does that equate to?
In American terms, that is piss poor.
American terms. What is that scale natively in?
Kaya.
That's the Kaya grading system?
Yep. So, no, I mean, I've complained about it, I think, for the last 3 games that I've watched for the Packers. They're not good. I think that this last one that they had with Green Bay and Detroit, I think that was the closest. And as far as fair goes, they were. I can't even keep a straight face when I'm talking about it. That was garbage.
I was going to see if you're going to break, and you did.
No, there's been some trash calls. I know that there was some.
Well, trash is patented by Dave Sowson, according to Alex Williams. Just be careful using other podcast terms. Sorry. Anyways, continue.
They're trash. But I mean, I think there was a questionable call in the KC game. There were the two. I mean, week 2 with the Bears and Denver, there was the roughing the passer call that set them up for the field goal, and then the time expiring, but didn't expire. So it's been extremely questionable. The PI, I'll bring up the Green Bay ones with the PI against Philly, where the guy was mugged before the ball got to him twice. And then obviously with this last week, what's fresh on everybody's mind is the phantom hands to the face calls. Even though I sent you the video of the one that was actually hands to the face. I did say I wouldn't have called it because his hand was there for maybe a fraction of a second, and it was the one moment that ref didn't blink.
Yeah, and I think in that same video, if you really want to, I don't know if it's in that specific Packers video or not, but if you look it back, at the beginning of the play before they kind of, grapple up, Bakhtiari is swatting at him, and Bakhtiari hits the other dude's face mask. So if anything, it'd be offsetting, but,
We just scored.
That's true. Anyways, so, we could rag on the refs all we want. Reffing, I will preface this by saying reffing in the NFL is a thankless job. They are part-timers. They get paid peanuts from what I hear.
What? Are they high-quality peanuts, like the kind you can get at...
Planters. This is high-quality shit.
Okay,
They're Planters peanuts.
okay.
Yeah. But so yeah, they're not appreciated. I was listening to the Pat McAfee show today, and Pereira was on there, and Pereira was saying, Pat McAfee, if you ever listened to him, he's been talking all week about how all the good refs are getting poached by all the broadcast networks to get paid way more money to do way less work and just sit in a cushy office or booth setting to do the job they were already doing, which, is neither here nor there, but it's a thankless job. None of them are full-time. They have to do other things throughout the season and even during the season, since they only work, 1 day a week. So one thing that was proposed over this last offseason was the sky judge, Josh. Essentially, it would be a referee that sits in the booth and can call down and be like, hey, you guys fucked that one up. We need to reverse that, or we need to throw a flag here. Do you think that is a solution?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
They talked a little bit about this on KFan as well, and everything that they were saying made sense because on the field it's subjective to whatever the ref sees. Same thing happens up in the sky. They can't watch all 22. They're going to see some things, they're going to miss some things, and then they're going to get ripped as well because everybody up there is going to have, if there's biases, they're going to have a bias in it, and it's the same thing. It's just up high.
Right. Okay. So you don't like the sky judge.
No.
So then I guess what could someone do to fix the reffing issue?
I think that really the only thing would be full-time refs.
Okay.
And that's not even going to fix it because you still have humans doing human things, which is making mistakes. So I don't think that it'll ever be fixed, but I would like to see, like you said, refs that aren't part-time doing a thankless job. They have full-time with benefits and things like that because then they might have a little bit more incentive to take it serious instead of tossing the cheddar for no reason, or
Right.
not tossing the cheddar.
Right. So, I mean, I guess not to digress too far, I do like the sky judge idea. I do think it's not a terrible idea to have someone off the field being able to see. I do agree that at the end of the day, it's still just another human. But I like the sky judge idea. I do, again, I'm just piggybacking. I have no original ideas here, but I like what Pereira said about how, there's a lot of refs in the NFL. If you think about it, if there's 17 games in a week with no buys, that's 7 NFL referees per game. So 7 times 17, I'm not going to do the math on that. It's over, is that 100? Over 100? It's not quite there. It's a lot of refs regardless. It's a lot of bodies. So I don't think every ref will ever be full-time. But what Pereira said was have the 17 head judges per game be full-time, and then have them, I don't know if he was suggesting they live in a commune where they all go back to the same place at night or during the week, and they sleep together and they meet together, and they're kind of always on the same page 24/7. So I mean, that's an interesting idea from a guy who used to be in that world a lot. Another thing what the hell did he say? I wrote it down.
I can't read your handwriting.
It's typing. I think one other thing Pereira said is just that the quality of refs isn't there. So even if we added so Pereira does like the sky judge, but he said even if they added a sky judge today, I mean, I get back to your point. There's no guarantee that the ref would be any better than the 7 we have on the field now. So I mean, it's a difficult situation. The only other notes I have written down here is, how do you feel about the penalties that are automatic first downs? And should they exist if they do? I mean, we know they do, I should say, but should they exist? Or should it just be pure yardage?
I think it depends on the penalty. I mean, obviously, roughing the passer, defensive pass interference, I think that those ones are pretty fair as they are. But if it's hands to the face, I think, is one.
Yep, hands to the face. I don't know what it's been on the Vikings, but I mean, I remember you commented on it. I don't know if it was defensive holding or what it was, but they're 5-yard penalties that are also automatic first downs.
Yeah, and those ones I think are silly.
Right. I mean, because I guess, so I mean, roughing the passer itself is a 15-yard penalty, and DPI is a spot foul. So I guess to me, if you're interfering with the catcher and it's less than what the first down would be, I mean, does it need to be an automatic first down? You could make the argument they weren't going to get it anyways. Although who knows if the guy catches the ball? But I don't know. It's just interesting. We've kind of seen that we've gone back and forth a little bit about that. And then so this is a Billy B idea. So it should be quality. But
I agree, 100%. Let's do it, Billy.
Pretty much what he's been saying this for a long time is just that anything should be challengeable. So it's some things are challengeable, some things are not. Of course, the teams only get 2 challenges a game, 3 if they win the first 2. But his point has always been, why are some things reviewable and some things not? It should be able to challenge anything on the field, whether it's a ref's call with a spot of the ball, things like that. What do you think about that? Because right now, only scoring plays, turnovers, and now pass interference are reviewable. Why can't other things be reviewable, or why shouldn't they be? I guess. Or what's
I
your
think it's
opinion?
just a time thing. Yeah, it would take forever if everything was reviewable. And
I guess I should say everything is challengeable.
Yeah, everything is challengeable, and yeah, it would require them to throw the flag, but then you're getting into the whole let's just hope situation, end of the game or near the end of the game, and then even now they're commenting about coaches being afraid to toss a challenge flag just because nothing's been overturned yet, because
specifically for the pass interference.
Yeah, because nothing's been egregious, even though you could clearly see in some of those replays that it was egregious.
Sure.
So it's another subjective call.
Right. Yeah.
The refs are probably sitting there thinking back to their Pee-wee days. I could have caught it.
Yeah, that brought me back to the thought I was trying to come up with, and I just passed over. But that's what Pereira said. The easiest fix for the situation right now is take out the wording of clear and obvious, and then it's just more of a, is the guy there early or not? It would be much more, yes or no, versus the subjectivity of, well, I don't know. I mean, you could try and cross hairs with him being there a split second early, like if you slow it down versus a bang bang play. But Pereira says if you just take out that clear and obvious wording, specifically on the pass interference, it should clear things up and make things more reversible or whatever. But so I think that's interesting. I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on refs or possible solutions?
Nope. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Oh, are you sure?
A little sure.
Did you happen to read my notes?
Yep.
All right, so that's all we got. That was our news/fan interaction/discussion questions section. We are moving on now to the Week 6 home results. And I know I went first last week, Josh, so please, I'll let you go first this week.
Well, Green Bay won 23-22.
Not bad.
Maybe some questionable calls, I guess.
Maybe.
No, I'll read through my notes. I said it was a super clean and fair game.
All caps, you wrote that in.
Yep. Nope, just to get it out there. But honestly, Jamal Williams, his return was nice. He had over 100 yards, a couple touchdowns. Green Bay wideouts were atrocious. And then we lost Geronimo Allison as well. That Shepard or whatever, number 10. I don't even want to know his name. The punt returner.
Oh, yeah, I don't know his name either.
He's still on the team. But overall,
I mean, Aaron Jones dropped a wide open touchdown. Why didn't you
He
cut
did.
him?
He did, but he scored 4 touchdowns the week before, so he has a little bit of forgiveness.
It's more about
and
what
he
have
fumbled,
you done for me lately, Josh.
Well, but then he also heard you talking about how your fantasy team needed him to do bad. So you're welcome.
Right. I mean, he didn't do great. Kenny Galladay still got me the loss.
Yeah, that's true. Detroit was robbed, but they also didn't capitalize in the red zone. So everybody seems to be talking about the penalties and how they were, bad calls. And I see in your notes here that I'll let you read through them. I won't steal your thunder, but they were. I will say that they were robbed on a few calls, but they were in the red zone 4 times and kicked 4 field goals or something. So it's in the end of the day, it's not 3 plays that decides the entire game.
Right. So I mean, I guess at the end of the day, are you happy with your team's performance? I mean, they won the game, of course.
They definitely, they won the game, and they definitely. I was not happy with the wide receivers. I was happy with the run game. Like I said, Jamal Williams' return. Aaron Rodgers had some absolute dimes that were either dropped, Jimmy Graham, or
Aaron Jones.
But then he also, I thought he did well. He was smart with the ball. The only interception came off of his only 2 interceptions this year came off of passes that could have been caught. One was a defensive pass interference that wasn't called, and then the other one was the one where Shepard slipped and let it bounce off his head like a doom. Exactly.
That's one of my favorite gifs of all time.
Yeah, it's fun to see a video of Bradley playing football,
isn't it? Yeah. So I mean,
that segment was brought to you by White Claw, because when the refs are here, there are no laws.
Ain't no laws. So I guess I haven't discussed it yet on the air, but the first thing I think I prefaced at the game is I always think that the Lions, specifically in this situation, should have played better to be able to lose to reffing. Most of the time when I say things like that, it's like one bad call at the end of the game that kind of screws you. This was, I'll get into it, but it was kind of like a series of 4 calls that were kind of questionable, and one of them no one really talks about. There's obviously the 2 big ones, and then there's a third, less, and then there's the 4th one, like I said, no one talks about. But it was just kind of the timeline of the 4th quarter. So I guess I don't remember exactly how the 4th quarter started, but about 10 minutes left, there was that phantom hands to the face. It would have been a sack on 3rd down, so the Lions would have got a stop while they were leading. And so I guess the NFL has come out and said, I probably, referencing the same clip that you showed me. I mean, eventually, I don't even know the defensive end's name, but his hand gets like against the cheek of David Bakhtiari. So that happens, even though David Bakhtiari also touched the other guy's face, but whatever. The second one was the Lazard touchdown to the sideline. So Aaron Rodgers threw the one to him, and I think he dropped it or it got broken up. Either way, then Aaron Rodgers, it looks like they went back to the exact same play, or at least the exact same route for Lazard, and Lazard caught it right at the sideline, touchdown. Except if you go back and look at the replay, Lazard was down. Not way before the goal line. It was probably like maybe a foot, but he was still down, and so that would have changed the game, at least for the timing.
Was he touched though? Because I know I saw that. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure he was touched? Do you have pics? Can I see it?
I don't have pics ready for you, Josh. You got me. But yeah, so anyway, no one really talked about that. They confirmed the score and moved on, but I thought that was an interesting reffing thing. And then there was the no-call defensive pass interference when the Lions had the ball and they were trying to, just maintain, because they still had the lead at that point, I think. So, I guess, Josh, you said that was kind of a weak call, but have you had any other thoughts on it since then, that no-call DPI when the
I still think it would be a weak call. So there's been plays in the NFL this year that have not been called that have been a lot more egregious than that. Sure. He had his arm across the chest, but every defender does that. And it's not that he was taking him down to the ground. He was jumping backwards as well, trying to make the catch over his head. And so his own momentum was bringing him back too. So you can never, I think that was a good call, a good no call.
Sure.
Obviously nobody else does, because everybody's talking about it on as far as the game, as far as the ESPN post game goes. They were ripping it, but at the same time, they apparently didn't watch the Philly Packers game the week before, because there was a play where wide receiver got basically punched in the jaw, and
He did not get punched in the jaw.
he took his fist, put on brass knuckles, and punched him in the jaw.
You're right. That's how I remember it. You're sorry.
But no, it was clear pass interference, and we challenged it, and it didn't get overturned. So
Sure.
And so if that doesn't get overturned, then this wouldn't get overturned.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Patricia did not even bother to challenge it, so that was the end of the. I think that was the Lions on third down, so that was the end of their series. I guess the only other thought I have on that one specifically is if that's a no call, the hands to the face should have been a no call. Again, it wasn't egregious. So if they're both weak calls, it didn't seem like they were calling it straight. And then the last one was just the Packers were trying to run out the clock, and that one, even the NFL officiants came out and said like, yeah, that one shouldn't have been a call, and we'll let the Lions know. And the Lions are like, well, fuck you, guy. That helps us in no way.
Yeah, no, and we were texting back and forth throughout that game, and the only one that, the Lazard down before the goal line, obviously that one should have been reviewed, and so I don't even know, did they review Kerryon Johnson's touchdown run?
All scoring plays are reviewed, right?
And it was the same situation. It was super quick,
right?
And the one view, it looks like he was a yard short or a foot short too. So,
right.
I don't know if that referee was sitting there like he forgot Pepto-Bismol and he had some extra like hot dog.
Let's get this game over with. Come on.
Had an extra hot dog with chili on it, and he just needed to leave. But it seemed like nothing was reviewed. And we were texting back and forth. That DPI, yeah, it could have gone either way. I would have been pissed if it was called because it wasn't as egregious. Sure. And I don't think the hands to the face should have been called either. Both of them.
Right.
So they were, it was poor officiating. And even, I'm happy it's a win for the Packers.
Of course.
But at the
I would be too if it were the Vikings. They'd be like, well, that's the way she goes.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. That's the way she goes. But at the same time, I remember the Fail Mary.
You still hold on to that, do you?
I remember the Fail Mary, so I know a little bit about how the Lions feel and all that jazz.
Yeah, it's not great at the end of the day. It wasn't just one call, like you said. The Lions only had one touchdown and 5 field goals, so they should have capitalized more when they had the chance. Ultimately, they lose, and we'll see if that really fires them up for the Vikings this week, or if they just kind of sit down and we can walk over them, which is what I prefer. But we'll see. Any other thoughts on the Packers game, Josh?
No, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. All right, Vikings game. So I'm going to try and be brief because I know I've taken a lot of time the last couple weeks, but ultimately, I thought we won 38-20 or 20. I think it was 20 or 24. I don't know, but we won. We beat a talented team. I think the Eagles are a well-coached team overall. I think the Eagles are a better team than the Vikings, despite kind of what we saw on the field on Sunday. But we showed up and we beat them at home in a comfortable setting at noon, so I'll take it. It wasn't a perfect game by us, but the Vikings scored on their first 4 possessions. I think we had racked up 24 points in our first 4 possessions, and then we kind of, if you watch the game, we kind of lost our momentum in the middle at the end of the second quarter, beginning of the third. That's when the Eagles scored their 17 points to come back. At one point, the game was 24-20, and then the Vikings just kind of stepped on the gas again. Defense started playing lights out. The Eagles did not score in their final 4 possessions, and the Vikings ended up putting up 14 more points between, I don't know when it was, but in the second half of the game. So, we started well and we finished well, and that's really all you can ask for your team. And, it's a good win. It was at home. Like I've said many, many times, it's a comfortable environment for us. So going on the road this week will be a little more difficult, but as far as the Eagles game goes, proud of that team. We did good. Do you have any thoughts on the game, Josh?
I honestly only watched the first half, and then I went up to the garage to work on things.
What?
Yep. I watched the first half and I was like, Vikings got this. And then I went outside, mostly because my fantasy teams were getting killed. And so I was like, I need to go blow off steam and cut things. So I went out and made a workbench. So
Josh, I know you're probably not one who would likely be to take advice from me, and I understand that. But my strategy for Sundays is I set my lineups. I always check them, at Sunday morning, make sure everything's kosher, and then I don't check my fantasy again until the end of the 3 o'clock games, at the end of the noon games, at the end of the 3 o'clock games, and then against the Sunday night game, you only have maybe 2 or 3 guys going. But so that's my strategy: is just never check it until the end of the whatever chunk of games is going on.
That's great. You can do that. Me, I have it pulled up, and I don't have my phone. I don't let it go dim so I can read each and every yard my team gains or doesn't gain. And when I get vultured, I get pissed. I write emails, and then I say I could coach better than that. Then I think, what would I do in Madden? Oh, yeah, I'd throw to Josh Gordon.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your strategy for life, you go for it. I think it sounds like a little more of the stressful path, but if that's what makes you happy, Josh, I'm not here to turn you down. So you had no other thoughts in that game. So now we're going to move on, Josh. We'll move on to the other week 6 watchable moments. Beautiful segment name we have there as well. So refs, we already talked about the refs in length. I think the only other thing we didn't talk about was the Dallas Jets game. There's some questionable calls in there, but we've already put that through the ringer, so we'll stop talking about the refs. Josh, did you catch any of the Houston KC game by chance?
Nope, just the highlights or the lowlights of some of those calls. I know Tyreek Hill was back, and he put up a show, I guess. And, and so, yeah, no. He
balled out.
Yeah, he had a great view of his own game for my bench in one league, so that's great.
You didn't feel strong enough to play him?
No, not really.
Okay.
And Devontae Adams was out as well, and so, yeah, I've started Josh Gordon, who got 1 point because, he got hurt.
I thought Josh Gordon was elite, Josh.
Did you not see that tackle? They're going to move him to corner.
Did he have a tackle on a date? Brady threw a pick or what? I know nothing
Brady,
about
of
that
course,
game.
that saggy bald old man threw a pick.
Whoa, you're coming in hot at the TB12 guy, and not the good one, the mediocre TB12. Everyone knows Terry Bradshaw's the better TB12. But anyways, all right, so Houston KC was an exciting game. KC loses yet again. The only other note I wrote is something we kind of discussed preseason was that I personally thought that KC and the Rams are going to get figured out. Defenses are going to kind of figure out their offense. It doesn't help that it looks like Mahomes is nursing some sort of ankle injury after a big hit in the Indy game. So he's not 100%, but Houston upsets KC. Atlanta, Arizona, that's not a very exciting game for most people, except unless you were a believer in Atlanta. And I just wrote that I think the aired out defense in Arizona seems to be clicking. I think the two teams they've beat are, I don't even know what the other one was, but their other, I don't know. It just seems like they're figuring it out, and Atlanta sucks. San Fran upset the Rams, so that was exciting. Pittsburgh at Los Angeles. Woof. What happened to my Bolts, Josh? Do you know anything about what's going on down there that I don't?
Well, I think Phillip Rivers' kids are starting to play on the team, and so
are they all the O-linemen?
Yeah, no, woof indeed. Do you know who the Pittsburgh quarterback was?
Dalvin Hodges, aka Ducky Hodges.
Yeah. Do you know when he was? He wasn't drafted, was he?
Wasn't even signed as a UDFA right after the draft.
He's undefeated.
He is undefeated, and it looks like Mason Rudolph's going to play, so he might go down in history as one of the few undefeated quarterbacks in their career.
Absolutely.
Also, world champion duck caller. So, I mean, this guy's got it all working out for him.
Absolutely.
All right, Josh. So the last thing. So this is going to be a brief discussion question, but I'm just curious on your opinion. Which is, and I stole this from Reddit, which is more impressive to you? The Saints being 4-0 with Teddy B or the Panthers being 4-0 with Kyle Allen? And I have who they played if you're interested in hearing that to form your opinion.
No, give me who they played, even though I think it's not gonna change much.
Okay, so Carolina 4-0 with no Cam. They beat Arizona 38-20, Houston 16-10, Jacksonville 34-27, and Tampa Bay 37-26. And then the Saints 4-0 with no Breeze. They have beat Seattle 33-27, Dallas 12-10, Tampa Bay 31-24, and Jacksonville 13-6. So both teams have beat Jacksonville and arguably good teams with Houston and Seattle, respectively.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to give the edge to Kyle Allen and the Panthers, mostly because I think that the Saints defense is a little bit better than Panthers at this moment. But then also, Kyle Allen is a rookie, I believe.
I guess I don't know.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's why we
right.
both know Teddy Bridgewater, and it's not
Right.
because we're both from Minnesota. But he's had starter experience. He has more weapons around him. Well, I guess kind of. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is a weapon,
Right.
And so I'm going to give him the edge, but it's still impressive for Teddy B to be 4-0 as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think to give the edge to Kyle Allen, I think is the fair thing to do. I disagree. I think the Panthers defense is better than the Saints, but they're pretty similar either way. And I think the better feel-good story is probably Teddy B, just because obviously the gruesome leg injury, the fucking NFL will not, or anyone commentating the games will not let us forget about it, so it's kind of running its course. But it's still cool that the guy's out there. He's 4-0. I do agree that the Saints offense was better, so Teddy B is just kind of plug and play, but they're both really cool stories, and I'm glad to get your opinion on that. All right, Josh. Let's go ahead and preview Week 7 here. Who do the Pack play?
They play Oakland. Who do the Vikings play?
Do you have any thoughts on the Green Bay Oakland game?
I mean, I think that, I looked and they're only 4.5-point favorites, and at first I was offended. And then, Green Bay still has some things to figure out. We're still unsure on Devontae Adams. It sounds like he's still questionable. And we saw what happened without him. And now it's unlikely we see Geronimo Allison. But Oakland doesn't have the top wideout at this point, it sounds like. But they have Darren Waller, who is light years better than Jimmy Graham right now. And then the rookie RB, which means that they have less tape to study. Tendencies are harder to find, and so it might be a little bit tough, especially with the poor run defense they've had so far this year. And then also they're coming off of a bye.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think what's my note here? I gotta remember what I wrote.
I think you said "Go Pack, go."
That's exactly what I said, quote for quote. No, I said this is a more interesting game than it once was. Of course, with the Raiders going into London and beating the Bears, I think, which was an upset for a lot of people, despite Chase Daniel being their quarterback, and then having the bye. This game is pretty interesting to me. It's no secret I'm a big fan of John Gruden, the Oakland Raiders. If this game wasn't in Lambeau, I would be very tempted to put Oakland in as my upset pick, just again because I am, for whatever reason, I have an affinity for John Gruden and the Raiders. But I hope it's an exciting game, and if it's another noon game, obviously I won't get to catch it because I'll be watching the Vikes. I'm pretty sure the Vikes play at noon. But I'm excited for that game, and hopefully it's a good one. And I'm sure you're pulling for the Pack, and I'm pulling for the Raiders. But we'll see what John Gruden can whip up to try and defeat the Pack. Any other thoughts on that game coming up, Josh?
No, I think I spoke about it. Oh, I have my... La-di-da-di-da.
What was that, Josh?
Don't worry about it. It's not an advertisement for a game on my phone.
Josh, we're podcasting.
I have
games?
ADHD. It's a mental disorder that affects my attention span. Please do not harass me.
Have you ever harassed anyone else, Josh?
Never.
Oh, okay. Well, you're right. I'm sorry.
Dumbass.
Moving on to the Vikings preview. Again, I'll try and be brief because I've been taking a lot of time these last couple weeks. But, we got a tough matchup, divisional game here. Detroit's been looking really good this year, kind of despite their 2-1 record. I think this is every NFL team strategy, so it's pretty generalistic and not very unique. But the Vikings get up early and then able to play good defense. I like our chances. However, not quite. I don't want to. I mean, if that's how we have to win the game, that's how we win the game. But I don't want to see us quite as much as the high flying offense we were against Philly, because I think, despite what many people might think, I think Stafford is more dangerous with the ball than Carson Wentz. So, whatever we have to do to run the ball, control the clock, in my world, if we could have 50 minutes of time of possession and they only have 10, that's how we're going to win this game, because Stafford is a baller. Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones, Kerryon Johnson, sorry, I forgot his name, TJ Hawkinson. They got a lot of weapons on that offense, so I'm hoping we can keep the ball away from them. I think that's our best way to win. The other note I had is that, despite losing 2 road games, from moving here forward, I think the Vikes have a good chance to kind of build their success and confidence through iterations. So we won on the road in New York. We beat the Giants just to kind of prove we can win a road game actually this season. Came home, beat a team with a winning record, a team that is a Super Bowl favorites for a lot of people, beat the Eagles, so that's good. Now we're going to have to go on the road again in a more hostile environment than New York, try and win there. So we can say that Kirk Cousins can actually beat, good teams. Then we have a primetime game, which is the other knock, that we can't win those. But guess what? Our Thursday night game's against the fucking Redskins. So if we can't win that, woof. Then we have a real test at KC. Probably going to lose that one unless Mahomes continues to regress. But and then primetime again against Dallas. So things are looking up for us. As long as we can just keep chunking away, I think we will be able to go against a lot of the haters this year. so to speak. So
Wow. If anybody listens to these podcasts back to back, they'd think that you have bipolar disorder.
that's not last week, but after the Chicago game. Whew. And again, I'm saying we have a chance to build our success and confidence.
Right. I wasn't necessarily listening either. So
You want to fight, Josh?
kinda. Not you though.
Give me attention.
Okay.
I need it.
All right. Do you want to hear my thoughts on this game?
I do. Please.
Vikings are going to lose because.
Team has a bunch of losers in Minnesota.
There we go. No, I mean, Cousins on the road versus a division opponent. They're 0-2 at division opponents. So, I mean, I'm trying to read my choppy notes here.
That you definitely did not take hastily right before the podcast began.
They're 0-2
I said definitely not.
They're 0-2 on the road. Granted,
0-2 on the road in divisional games.
In divisional games. Granted, they're playing teams that are much, 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 much better than them with superior quarterbacks. Chase Daniel, future Hall of Famer. Aaron Rodgers, maybe a first-round ballot Hall of Famer.
If he's lucky.
But no, they're 0-2 at division opponent games. I believe they were both noon games, so it's not like you can use the whole primetime thing. So this is just another one of those tests. And not all the blame in those games can be put on Cousins. The defense was shredded by Chase Steele Daniel, and Green Bay put up 21 before Zimmer could even turn red. Because I don't know if you noticed, he turns red a lot.
That's kind of his signature thing. He turns red like a strawberry.
Strawberry. Yeah, I read about those in the library.
Sick, dude.
Yep. So those two things, you can't put on Cousins. Cousins wasn't out there playing defense. So defense needs to show up. And like you said, you talked about that as well. I think it's going to be a tough matchup. I don't know what's going to. I'm already hearing excuses on K-Fan. I don't know if you're listening to it at all lately.
I usually listen. I guess I haven't heard any excuses, but
during one of the segments that I caught today, they were talking about how I think it was Mark Rosen was saying that his big concern is that the refs are going to try and gift Detroit penalties because of what happened in Green Bay. He's like, I've already seen those comments coming up, and I'm sure it'll happen, or I'm thinking it'll happen, and if it does happen, I really hope it doesn't. And I was just like, oh God, if they lose to Detroit on a call, I'm going to freaking lose it. So whatever. But at the same time, I really hope Detroit doesn't lose because of bad officiating again.
That'd be brutal. I'm gonna digress just for a second, but there's a stat. If you saw the Reddit post, it's like the Packers are the number one in the NFL for beneficiary penalty yardage. So like all the Packers opponents, the Packers ever.
I saw that they're like 500 yards. Detroit's like 230.
Yeah, Detroit was like in dead last for beneficial yards, and then Packers were number one. So, I mean, you could see where some of the bias might come from. I think that's just a coincidence, but it's an interesting statistic.
And I went to that site as well, and that's a little bit misleading because, Detroit's already had a bye. Green Bay hasn't, so there's going to be more yards there depending on it.
Right.
Net yards, it wasn't like there was a big difference between them. I sorted by stats.
Right.
As far as penalties go, Green Bay hasn't been penalized a whole lot. But a lot of those, the ones that they have been penalized at home more than they have been on the road, and you'd think it would be vice versa. And so that's a silly thing to bring up because they're not even they are number one, but Indianapolis is like 40 yards behind them, and they've had a bye already. So it's like Indy, maybe Indy gets the most calls. It's whoever put that on there is stupid.
I don't know if they're stupid. They're just pointing out facts. I don't think the person who posted, was like had an agenda. They're just like, hey,
I know.
Here's facts.
I just like to say people who are against Green Bay are stupid.
Well, you got me there, Josh. All right. So assuming you have no other thoughts, we'll move on to the other Week 7 tingles and jingles. And I'll just kind of fly through this unless you have any thoughts on the game, Josh. But
None. I'm only going to watch the game that shows up on my TV, which is probably the Vikings.
I was going to say, I don't think it's good. Why don't you just stream through the internet?
I did whatever week it was where I couldn't get it on our TV. So.
Okay. So anyways, I personally, Garlic Johnson, I'm excited about the Houston Indy game. That's a divisional matchup. Arizona Giants, I'm excited for that one. New Orleans, Chicago, I'm excited for that one. Baltimore, Seattle should be a good game. And then Philly, Dallas, Sunday night. I'm really looking forward to that one as well.
That one could be fun.
One could be fun indeed, Josh. All right, we will move on to... got to make sure this isn't too loud. We're going to move on to locks and upsets. All right, Josh, locks and upsets. We have
Batman.
Jalen Swanson, who's still fucking perfect on the year. Perfect 18.
He takes softballs.
Well, he does. I mean, that's kind of the strat at this point. He's trying to win $140. Most of us are taking softballs, I think.
Oh, no.
Okay, what's your lock this week? San Fran over Washington. That's on the softball.
Nope.
And Detroit over Minnesota, where it's currently a 1-point difference, is not a softball.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, Josh.
Well, thank you for reading my picks. What do you think? San Fran over Washington, is that a softball?
I mean, I picked it first.
I know, I copied you.
I didn't say I didn't pick softballs. I didn't call out Jalen for picking softballs.
I did, because Jalen is short.
He is very short. He's a very short man. But yeah, so anyways, Jalen is perfect at 18. T, the only team with 15.3 behind him. I lost a point last week, so me, Kyle, and Brad are down to 14. Jordan,
I'm losing to Brad?
Jordan, Brian, Josh, and Nikita all have 13, so within 5 points. You are losing to Brad. Jesse and Walters are at 12. Eric's 9. Aaron, 8. And Derek down with the Walking Tacos in last place. So yeah, this week I have San Fran over Washington and Philly over Dallas because, again, Doug Peterson, despite if he would have walked it back or not, he guaranteed a win Sunday night. So I can't walk away from that moxie. Eric's also has San Fran over Washington, and then he has the Chargers over Tennessee as his upset. I wanted to pick that as my upset, but I already had the Chargers last week in a lock against Pittsburgh, which didn't fucking happen, which is cool, but so I couldn't pick them again, so I like that pick. Eric's. Nikita has Buffalo over Miami. That's a nice lock. I considered that one myself. And then she also has the Chargers over Tennessee as her upset. Where's my mouse? There she is. Walters. We can start saying his name again. We haven't had complaints in the last couple weeks, we didn't have complaints this week.
I don't want to hear his name.
Well, too bad. He has KC over Denver, which I think they're only 3-point favorites, which is kind of crazy. And then he has Chargers over Tennessee as well as his upset. I think Bradley really wanted to get his in. So while I'm scrolling down here, Jordan, we heard his on the phone call. He's got San Fran over Washington and then Philly over Dallas. So me and Jordan the exact same this week. Jalen, the Mr. Perfect, has Buffalo over Miami and then the Chargers over Tennessee, which I think it's definitely possible. The Chargers, the way they're playing this week, despite Ryan Tannehill being the starter in Tennessee, it is possible that upset does not come to fruition. So Jalen might not be perfect after this week. We'll see. And Fitzmagic is starting for the Dolphins, so who knows? That might not be the lock we think it is. Brad really wanted me to say New England over the Jets was his lock, and his upsets, the Chargers over Tennessee, like everybody else. Brian Canup, his father, has San Fran over Washington, and Houston over Indy. So Indy's actually favored in that game. It's a good upset. I thought about picking that one myself, but I didn't want to.
Oh.
Again, you can't go with the moxie. We have one more celebrity shot this week. Jamie coming back. Actually got the locks and the upsets right this week. She has Seattle over Baltimore as her lock and Cincinnati over Jacksonville as her upset. Josh, do you have any?
I think she's crazy.
Crazy?
No, Seattle over Baltimore is... I mean, Baltimore's been playing decent. I think that's, That's a risky pick, I guess. It's not a San Fran over Washington or a Buffalo over Miami. And then Cincinnati, they don't even know how to put their pants on right at this point. They're garbage.
So, Josh, are you saying that Jacksonville is...
I mean, I wouldn't call them the stone cold lock of the century of the week, but I would say that they are Gardner Minshew led minus Jalen Ramsey. So, yeah.
I mean, he hasn't played the last 4 weeks anyways.
That's true. No, I think Cincinnati's going to get blown out. Push the button again.
Stone cold lock of the century. All the week.
That's Jacksonville.
I wish I was better at producing the show and being on top of things. Anyways, any other thoughts on locks and upsets, Josh? How upset are you that you're losing to Brad?
7.
7 out of what?
7.
That's pretty pissed.
That's 70%.
Is that in the Kaya native scale again?
Nope.
What scale is that?
Latvian. Eric knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, Eric's did want me to mention he was very upset about the officiating because his upset was Detroit over Green Bay last week. So
You want a half point, bud? Too bad.
We only get half points with ties. Sorry, nerd. All right, we will move on. We will move on to Josh. What's our next segment?
Shoot, I forgot to write it up. Hang on.
I wrote it up for you, Josh.
I know. Fantasy Fun Time, Week 7.
That one had a little more pizzazz than the previous few leagues. I like that one. I might just, if you wouldn't have said Week 7, I might have just clipped that and we'd use that every week.
You mentioned that after the first time I sang, so I've been saying the week number every time now, just so you don't, clip it. Yep.
But wouldn't in the
Fantasy Fun Time.
In the spirit of Josh being a
Week
bum,
7.
don't you think you'd want me to clip it so you don't have to say it every week?
Nope. I like to come up with new things. It reflects my mood at the time.
All right. Well, Josh, we always start our Fantasy Fun Time with a grain of salt, and I'm pretty sure I've gone first every week, so I'm going to make you go first.
I went 1-4 this week. I am now currently sitting at 60% win percentage. Yeah, 1-4 guard. Don't rub it in.
Ooh, 1-4, Josh. What happened?
I happened.
Just a bad fantasy football manager?
Yeah, just a bad week.
Just can't put it together, huh? Don't worry, buddy. You'll put it together.
Things will turn around. I'm going to win the next 6 weeks in all my leagues. Calling it now. That's my fantasy bold prediction of the week. I'm going to go undefeated in all 5 leagues from here on out.
Pretty impressive. My grain of salt, I went 5-3 last week. My overall record on the year is just barely positive, 26-22 for a 54.17 win percentage. So it's pretty average. Could be better. Josh, do you want to talk about the top performers of the week?
Yeah, top performers of the week. We had quarterback Matt Ryan with 30.9. Lamar Jackson with 30.6 and Deshaun Watson with 29.4. James Conner pulled up a massive 30.9. Chubb got everybody Chubb with 28.9 and David Johnson put up 28.2. Wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, he doubled his point total for the season with 43.5. McLaurin, that's right, 26. And then Chris Godwin, 25.1. Tight end, Hunter One Knee Henry, put up 30. Austin Hooper, 25.3. And George Kitty Litter Kittle with 18.3.
You have an absolutely breathtaking hiney.
Thanks, Mr. Burgundy.
Some would say those are some nice tight ends, Josh.
Yep. But we won't say who would say that because of copyright infringement.
That's right. We don't, that's why we use a different clip, Josh. You can't accuse us of stealing, even though we completely stole that bit.
Don't worry about it. Studs and duds, who you got? Who'd you have?
Well, I had Kirk Cousins, who, like Brian Knupp so eloquently put it, I was correct because I'm a stud myself. Kirk Cousins was projected 13.6. I actually got 27.3 for a positive 13.7 for me. However, kind of fucked myself. So Todd Gurley was originally my dud. He didn't play. So I was like, I noticed that going into the Sunday night game because I started updating this after the 3 o'clock game. I was like, oh, fuck, all right, I should probably put it in a new dud. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just left it blank and not had any points on the week for the dud. I put in James Conner as my dud. I was like, all right, well, the Chargers are probably going to stomp this Pittsburgh team. Nope. James Conner was projected 15.1. I actually got 30.9. So that's a negative 15 there. I went negative 2 on the week. This game's stupid.
Yeah, well, I had Gerald Everett, who he got 2.9 points, which means he's not going to hit that 8-point projected. So he was negative 5. And then my genius reverse psychology plan for Aaron Rodgers to do, I have him as my dud. So if he was a dud, I got points. But in reality, I wanted the opposite to happen, to where he was a stud, because then that means that the Packers just blew him out. It didn't work technically because he got 18.3. He was projected 18.2 for a negative 0.1. I finished with negative 5.2.
Brutal. All right. Eric said Chris Carson, who was a stud. Austin Eckler, who was also a dud. I was going to say also a stud, but so both picks went Eric's way. Eric's had 19 points on the week. That is
good for still last overall.
Significantly his best week.
Nikita had Adam Thielen as a stud, 17.7, which was 4 points over his projected. And then DeAndre Hopkins as a dud, which he put up 16.5, which was just under 1 point for that, for a total of 4.9 on the week.
So Walmers, he had Larry Fitz as his stud, was not studly, didn't get his projection by less than 0.7, and he had Jordan Howard as the dud. He was pretty dudly, 11.3 at the projection, 4.9 the actual. That's a positive 6.4. Overall, Walters was 5.7 on the week.
Jammer had Mark Ingram as a stud. Jammer only put up 15.6 or 15.4, which was 0.6 under
That's
his
Mr.
projection.
Morissette to you.
Mr. Morissette had Nick Chubb as his dud, and he put up 28.9. So the man who said, "Yeah, this is easy," he finished with a negative 9.4.
I don't think he ever said, "Yeah, this is easy."
Well, you made it sound like it.
Well, I mean, he did come in and drop a 22 bomber on us last week because it's his first time.
Sure did.
But however, I will point out he didn't even participate this week. So the guy has one bad week and he walks away.
Well, let's be honest. Jamie's the brains of that operation.
Well, yeah, Jammer Morissette is a schlub compared to Jamie Hammer. I don't know. I had nothing cool to say there. Damn it.
All right, so who do you got for week 7, sir?
Well, Josh, I really like Darius Slayton, which is a guy most people listening to this podcast won't even fucking know. He's a wide receiver for the Giants. He came up with Daniel Jones, so they kind of have that, hey, we're not the starters kind of sync up. But considering...
We shower next to each other, you know?
Well, I mean, they were probably running second-team reps for most of the offseason together. So he's my stud for the week on the projection 10.4. And Alvin Kamara, a little banged up. He's projected 17.9 against the stingy Chicago defense. Don't think he'll hit 17.9, so that's my dead.
I went with Auden Tate as my stud, projected 11. For those of you who don't know, he is a wide receiver in Cincinnati. They've been having to throw the ball a lot. He had a dozen targets last week.
A dozen?
And so I feel like he has a chance to put up some points this week. Only projected 11, if I didn't say that.
Josh, they're playing the Jacksonville defense.
Yeah,
A bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
exactly. Without Jalen Ramsey now. Well, they haven't had Jalen Ramsey, and they've had points scored on him. So I'm thinking Auden Tate is going to score at least 11 points and beat his projected.
Wow.
My dud for the week, Michael Thomas. Similar reason to you. They're playing the stingy Bears defense. He's projected 20.1. Do you have a backup plan in case Kamara does not play?
I don't right now. I do not.
Okay, just curious.
Yep. No, because I was thinking I thought of putting Michael Thomas into my dud as well, but then I thought, well, Teddy B is not known for the deep ball. We'll say that, right? So I think if the New Orleans Saints offense can get going here, Teddy B's known for his quick, short passes. If Michael Thomas can catch a couple slants and rip them off, that's 20 points easy. So I didn't want to put him in just because Teddy's beat. I think.
So
Teddy,
you don't think that a check down to Alvin Kamara and him breaking it off is going to be 17.9?
Well, Alvin Kamara is not going to break it off. Have you seen him?
He has a nose ring, sir. He walks home from Saints Stadium because he can't afford a car.
Well, I'm pretty sure this game's in Chicago, so
it's going to be a long freaking walk.
it will be a long walk. I have no idea where the game is either, but that helped my narrative better. Anyways, moving on. Eric's has Cole Beasley as a stud this week. That's a name we probably haven't heard in a long time. Projected 9.4. They just shipped away Zay Jones, so he's hoping that the Buffalo offense is going to get going against Miami. Not crazy to think. He's got David Johnson as his dud, projected 18.9 against the Giants.
Nikita has David Johnson, my lovely wife, as her...
David Johnson is your lovely wife?
I wish. No, my lovely wife, Nikita, has David Johnson as her stud, so a little bit of controversy there between her and Eric's. Hopefully they don't get into a fight because Eric's is a bartender, has a lot of glass bottles around, and Nikita is a feisty 5'2" female. So Eric's, good luck. But she also has Kamara as her dud. Similar reasons to you, I think. She didn't tell me why. She just texted me.
Similar reasons to you. She didn't tell me why.
I said I think. But then she also has Cook as her dud if Kamara doesn't play. She was smart and had a backup plan, unlike you. As far as the Cole Beasley pick on Eric's, I will say Nikita was scrolling through and goes, I need someone for my flex. I'm going to pick up Cole Beasley. He's been doing well. And so, Eric's, if you guys do get into a fight, she might help you up from the ground after she takes you down. So
Oof. All right. Well, we will see. We will see. All right. Next is Walters. He has DJ Chark as his stud. I don't have his projection. I'm sure it's up there. And then Michael Thomas as his dud, just like you, Josh, projected 20.1. So guaranteed 40 bomber out of Michael Thomas this week.
I'm going to change my dud to Patrick Mahomes.
Any particular reason you're picking Mahomes?
First name that came to my mind. Well, actually, I'm going to change it to DJ Chark.
Genius, Josh. I like your strats there. All right, so now I'm going to take this next one just because I got the text message myself. We have a newcomer to Studs and Duds, Josh. I don't know if you can read that name yet, but
Brain?
Mr. Brain Knupp has joined us. And
This might make my season.
This might make your season.
I don't care. I could lose the rest of my fantasy games, but the fact that we have Brian Knupp as a stud and dud picker, thank you, sir.
So he's got Tay Train as his stud, only projected 5.3. I'm thinking he thinks that Tay Train's going to take some of the load from Kamara this week, even though it's against Chicago. I mean, 5.3 is a pretty fucking low projection. So even if if he gets maybe 5 to 7 more carries, 3 more receptions in the game, he should be able to hit 5.3, no probs. And then Evan Ingram is his dud. Evan Ingram, we don't know if he's 100% yet. We still technically don't know if he's going to play, even though it looks like he will. He's a full participant in practice today. But Evan Ingram projected 15.4 is Brian the Brains dud.
Jammer has Devonta as her stud. Devonta Freeman, that is.
Well, she only texted me Freeman. I assume Devonta.
Josh Freeman?
Could have been.
So we're going to go with Devonta Freeman. And then her dud is Amari Cooper. We don't have projections on these because we're lazy pieces of crap.
Well, I mean, she texted me them at the last second, and I didn't have time.
Yep, no, that's fine. No big deal. But at the same time, Devonta Freeman is her stud. Amari Cooper's her dud. Honestly, I'm okay with her dud. Not so sure on her stud. I don't think Devonta is as good as people. I don't know why, but I've never really liked him.
He's certainly been a hit and miss player. He's missed a lot of time due to injury. He's got Tevin Coleman gone this year. Atlanta's playing Arizona, so I mean, I guess if you don't have faith in the Arizona defense,
no, that's okay. So that's not the worst pick in the world.
But now again,
she could have said DJ Chark.
I don't want to drag Jammer through the mud, but Josh, if we had to speculate, now this is what the media does. We speculate. If you had to speculate how much thought Jamie herself put into that, how much thought would you think?
How much prep did I put into this week's podcast?
Minimal.
Less than minimal.
Okay.
I'm going to say less than minimal.
Did Jamie put in more or less thought than your beautiful, lovely, amazing wife, Nikita?
Less.
Wow. And Nikita just opened up her phone and picked a guy, right?
No, she actually went through and looked at the matchups.
Holy shit.
My wife knows things.
She's evolving.
She's
evolving.
No, don't say that because then she won't need me anymore to reach things off the top shelf.
Well, I didn't say she's growing. I said she's evolving. All right. So that's all our studs and duds, Josh. Do you want to... Where are you on the leaderboard, Josh?
Yeah. Leaderboard-wise, I am not on the page, but now I am... Oh, me and Eric's are cuddling down there. I'm at negative 14.9. He's at negative 24.8. So there's 10 points separating us, and then there's 10 points between myself and Walters!
He's above you again.
Thank you for joining us tonight, folks. The podcast is canceled.
Podcast is canceled. I should just play the
Boy,
song.
go to sleep.
You don't get off that easy, Josh. I know.
Hungry.
So, Studs and Duds leaderboard. I'm up top. Should be way more, but James Conner fucked me. I got 37. Nikita's nipping at my... I used to be the only positive team. Nikita's all the way up to 16 now, so she's about 20 points behind me.
How are you the only positive team if she had 5 points?
I just said I used to be the only positive team.
We used to all be tied.
I mean, that's when no one had any points.
Exactly.
I guess we were all tied for first at one point, Josh. But anyways, Walters has -4. You have -14, and Eric's coming back. Used to be down at like -50. He's back to -20, or he's up to -24 now. So that's our studs and duds leaderboard. Josh, what are we on to next?
bold predictions. I said Jamie loses this week. Fantasy-wise, Jamie loses.
Wow. We'll get into that in just a moment, but wow, Jamie's going to lose, huh?
Yep.
Any particular reason why?
Nope.
All right. And then, so my fantasy bold prediction, this one's more of a season-related one. I'm saying Kirk Cousins is going to end up as a top 6 quarterback this season. I did not feel confident enough to say top 5, so I put him in at the 6 bomber. I think Kirk Cousins finishes the season as a top 6 fantasy quarterback.
I'm sorry.
What are you sorry about, Josh?
I don't know. Just means he's going to be passing the ball a lot because you guys are behind.
I'll kill you.
I'm just kidding. Redraft week 6 results. Sounder.
Oh, well, I mean, Josh, let's talk about the side bets. And
that's what we're going to do.
I know. Josh, I have to remember what button it is.
It's true that every man has his price. And it's also true that money won is a lot sweeter than money earned. Now he's a philosophizer.
Philosophizer indeed. Josh, talk about the side bet.
This side bet winner was Derek with Like a Boss. Largest margin of victory. Derek had 115. Not a lot of points.
115 is not a lot
How'd he get
in our full PPR league.
Well, he got it because Hammer put up 58.1 in a full PPR league. And just for clarification, we play, 9 players?
Yeah, I think so.
9 players. Stephon Diggs, 1 guy, if I remember correctly.
Stephon Diggs is 1 human being. That is correct.
Hammer didn't have him, but
Nope.
Stephon Diggs by himself put up 43.5.
Safety.
43.5. Hammer's entire team put up 58.1.
That's
Congrats on the bye week, Derek.
That's a bit of a woof at a Hammer there.
Yep. Closest games, I beat Brad by 4.7. Thank you, Kerryon Johnson. Biggest blowout, we already talked about it. Derek spanked Hammer and Jesse smacked Robin. That's abuse.
Yeah, Jesse. We had to put an honorable mention there because of the side bet, but yeah.
Yeah. Brief walkthrough of all games, and then prediction outcomes. You had 4 right last week. I had 5.
That is correct.
Should we move on to the week draft 7 preview?
Why do you always read those last 2 bullets next to each other like that? Why can't you just say brief walk through all the games and then just open ESPN and talk about the games?
Open.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, since I'm prepared, I lost to Willie 142 to 133. Willie had Russell Wilson put up 29, and the Patriots defense put up 28. Patriots defense are really breaking fantasy this year, so that's not cool. Jamie remains undefeated, beat Brian 133.9 to 103. Jamie had Devonta Freeman, scored 26.8, so maybe that's where her stud pick's coming from. And then Brian had Deshaun Watson with 30, but that was not enough. Christian McCaffrey only put up 21 as well.
Only 21. I beat Brad, as we talked about, with the closest match of the week with 106.1 to Brad's 101.4. Nick Chubb got me almost 29, Kerryon Johnson 14, and Mark Andrews 14. Chris Carson gave Brad 26, Fournette gave him 18, and Michael Thomas gave him 17.
Yeah, Marcus Mariota was Brad's quarterback. If Brad would have had a better... Josh, did you plant the Marcus Mariota thing 2 weeks ago so you could beat Brad this week?
You know, I don't like to brag, but yes, I did. Marcus Mariota has not ever done well. Ever.
Hashtag long con right there, folks.
Hashtag long con.
I mean, it's like 2 weeks. Let's calm down with that emphasis on the long there, but...
No. I planted it in his head like before the draft. I was like, you know what's really good? Pineapple on pizza. Do you know where pineapple comes from? Hawaii. Do you know who's from Hawaii? Marcus Mariota.
Ravioli, give me the formula.
My lovely wife, despite, she has
Being
many positive qualities, she lost this week in fantasy. She put up 112.6 to Garrett's 133.4. Garrett had the dud, James Conner, with 31. Terry McLaurin with 26, and Mike Evans with 20.6. Nikita had David Johnson with 28. Denver defense, who was just a fill-in because Buffalo was on a bye, with 20, and then Dick Prescott with 18.
Yeah, your wife lost, so just I guess we can start discussing when you're going to leave her. But 3-3 is just not going to cut.
I probably won't because she cleans a lot, and and that's not even a sexist joke. She cleans a lot, and I'm messy, so
that's being a guest in your house weekly, can confirm, Tom. Derek, we mentioned him ago, but we have to put some more emphasis on this, some more salt in the wound for someone else. Derek beat Hammer 115.3 to 58.1. Derek 1-5, last place in the league. However, Hammer also now 1-5. 12th place in the league, technically. Derek had Tyreek Hill. He was confident enough to put him back in his lineup, 25 points. Tom Brady with 22, and Odell with 16. Hammer had Kamara get banged up, Jameis Winston with 5 turnovers, and then his kicker was his third best player. That's a woof of a week right there. Woof, woof, woof. Next, we have T.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. I don't need to go again. We had T put up 84.4, beat Nate 75.7. Nate's struggling a little bit this year, but he's also out doing a lot of cool things that I wish I could be doing, like fishing and having fun. Instead, I got to work and take care of dogs. Where was I? T had Adam Thielen with 17.7, James White with 13.5, and Tyler Lockett with 13. Nate had Lamar Jackson with almost half his points at 30, Kenyon Drake at 13, and Michael Horsey Run Gallup at 8.8.
Take the last one, Josh. I wouldn't want to, make you feel disgruntled.
No, that's fine. You can go.
No, you go, please.
How about we split it?
Okay. So they actually changed their team name, so it's throwing me off just a little bit, but Charkweek Jr. with 140 or with 136.3 beat
Girls Rule Robin with 82.
So Stills Trying, a.k.a. Charkweek Jr. had Stephon Diggs with 43.5. Julio Jones with
18.
And Aaron Rodgers with
18.
Robin had Matt Ryan with
31.
Alshon Jeffrey with
23.
And Geronimo Allison with
7 points.
The tough week to be a Packer.
Wow, not really. We won.
Any other thoughts on, that match or on last week in the redraft league, Josh?
Happy I won. 5-1, baby.
5-1. All right, Josh.
Week 7.
Who
Our side bet for this week is Mount Rushmore, the running back with the most rushing yards. Last year, Kerryon Johnson won it.
Any coincidence you have him on your team, Josh?
I planned ahead.
Did you?
No, I don't plan. Week 7, I go up against the 1-5 Big Waller brand, a.k.a. Mr. Morissette. I'm sitting at 5-1. He's sitting at 1-5.
The worst part about that is that there is a Mr. Morissette in this league, but it's still funny. Sorry.
Hammer's projected 116. I'm projected 123. His top projected players are Josh Allen, Alvin Kamara, Amari Cooper. Mine are Gardner Minshew, Devontae Adams, and Cooper Kupp. So
this Mr. Big Waller brand guy currently, he's 1-5. You're 5-1, correct? So currently you only have a 52% win probability, and everyone knows that ESPN gets everything right 100% of the time. So what do you do to yourself if you lose to the 1-5 Big Waller brand?
Well, I don't know if you've seen our liquor cabinet, but I think I finish it.
You finish the whole thing, huh?
Yep.
How many? If you had to guess the ounceage of drinks, that would be. What do you think?
What's the maximum?
I don't think there's a maximum number of ounces you can drink. I mean, you tell me, Mr. Hosa.
7.
You can drink 7 ounces?
No. I don't know. If I lose, I'll just say, well, it's because Nick Chubb's on a bye. Devontae Adams isn't 100% healthy. Cooper Kupp has Jared Goff.
Oh, I hear the excuses coming up.
There they go. Yep. But here's the thing. I'm not going to lose.
Okay. So does that mean you're picking yourself this week?
Abso-fucking-tootly.
The notes I wrote, so I wanted to pick the matchups live, but I wrote down Hammer has a lot of Hammer's players are questionable this week. What's his name? Josh Allen? Josh Allen would have to carry Hammer's team hard to win this week. Josh had plenty of great matchups, so you know what? I think I got to go with Josh on this one as well, as boring as it is. I know it. All right, so next I got my matchup. I play Girls Rule Robin. I'm projected 106 to Robin's 88. You know what? I mean, we shit on Robin a lot, but I like my chances here. I think this game is going to be closer than I would like it to be, playing a team that I kind of stereotype Robins to be. But you know what? Very shockingly, I like my team in this league despite me being 3-3, and I'm going to take myself in this one, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I think Robin's kind of cashed in. She has Juju in her lineup still, which is probably why she has such a low projection. She still has Darius Geis on her roster, who's on IR. So either she's cashed in or Derek has forgot to change her lineup at this point.
How dare you?
And so, yeah, I'm going to go with you as well, just because you're a gracious co-host and I love you.
Did you hear it, folks? He loves me. All right, moving on. We got Jamie, the undefeated, playing Brad. Currently, Jamie is projected to win 99.4 to Brad's 98.2. What? Why is the projection that close for the dominant squad Jamie has? Well, her workhorse, Christian McCaffrey, bye week. Is this Bradley's chance to upset the champ, Josh?
I would hope so, because even though it's a 1-point projection right now, he still has Marcus benched Mariota in his lineup. So I'm thinking that that's going to change.
He's projected 0.1 for some reason. I don't know if ESPN thinks Tannehill's going to get benched.
Yeah, just because of that possibility, I'm guessing. But no, I mean, I think Brad's going to win. I already said it in my bold prediction. Jamie loses, so I'm going to pick Brad. But Nyheim Hines and Giovanni Bernard are in your lineup, Jamie. Yikes.
That's a rough week. That's
Yep. No, and I mean,
toughie.
if Christian McCaffrey were playing, I would laugh Brad to prison, because why not?
Yeah.
I just picked a place, Arkham. I don't know.
The only thing I did note is that Brad has too many Saints on his team.
Yes.
He's playing Chicago this week.
Nikita made the same comment, because Nikita was trying to look at matchups, and she's like, well, might as well just call Brad the Saints.
I mean, this he's done this before with the Broncos.
That's true.
But he has Ted Ginn Jr., Michael Thomas, and Jared Cook. 3 receivers playing in the Chicago defense. Brad, this might be the only reason Brad loses, because he's got too many fucking Saints on his team playing Chicago. And I don't know what his bench looks like.
If he loses, that'll be the reason why. But I don't know. I mean, on his bench, he has Drew Brees, who's another Saint, and then Sammy Watkins, who's out. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, if I were him, I would pick some up. I would pick some up over someone up over Ted Ginn.
Picks him up.
I could.
I
can't speak.
Hold on, Josh. We got to play it. Oh my God! Why? Try it one more time.
I was checking the specs on the end line for the rotary girder. I'm retarded.
What he said.
Picks him up.
Pick someone up and drop Ted Ginn. Just because, why?
I mean, Ted Ginn's in his lineup for a reason, Josh.
Yeah. His reason is because he's 2-4.
Ooh, that hurt me. So, Josh, make your final call. Are you taking Brad or Jamie in this one?
I'm going to take Brad, because I think he listens to the podcast again, gets rid of Mariota, puts in a competent quarterback this week, and gets rid of Ted Ginn Jr., and does work with one of the waiver wire players. Stone cold lock of the week of the century.
You want me to play it?
No.
You have
absolutely then I hit the wrong
breathtaking Heine.
Well, this is my first time podcast.
Stone cold lock of the century. All week.
That is a completely original bit, by the way. Never stole that from anyone ever.
Nope.
All right, Josh, we're moving on to Garrett and Brian. Let's take the lead on this one, Josh.
Yeah, hang on one second. Which team names are they?
Mac and Cheese, Skybusters.
Yep. Well, I'm looking at it right now, and Skybusters currently is projected 117.4 to Garrett's 67.4, or 67.6. Numbers are hard. Garrett has 1 player advantage, no quarterback. And so his only 8-player advantage is Marlon Mack. Elijah Penny is in his lineup with 0.3 projected points, and Greg Olson, who's on bye. So that could change. Let's take a look at his bench here. I'm not even going to look at it, because Brian, I think you win this week. Good job.
That's I'm pretty sure I've made this comment before. There's no fucking reason Garrett is 4-2, and Garrett doesn't listen to this podcast, so I'm not afraid to tear into this man. This man is somehow miraculously winning games he should not be winning. I don't get it. Garrett is a garbage team. He should not be 4-2. That's all I'll say. I'm taking Brian as well. All right, Josh. The next matchup we have is Nate versus Nikita. So Nate is currently projected to win 118.2 to Team Mitchell's 112.9. Is your wife going to go negative this week, Josh? I don't know. Looking at the matchups here, I mean, it's not too favorable to Nikita. I think Nate is projected a little too high. He's got Saquon in there, who's projected like 22 points, which I think is ridiculous. Mine coming off that injury. Maybe he's 100%. I don't know, but I don't know, Josh. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the only thing that Nikita's got to bank on right now is Cole Beasley tearing it up against Miami. And then also her kicker's got to step it up, only getting 4 points a game. But then Latavius Murray, he's projected 5.3. If against Chicago's defense, we already talked about it being a tough defense, but if Kamara sits out or is limited because of his injury, I think, and he outscores that projection, that's going to be, I think, the make or break player right there.
So what's your final take? Gold team rules or Team Mitchell?
I'm going to have to go with gold team rules because last week I picked her and she lost, and so I'm going to see if I'm a curse.
All right, well then, since that's your take, I just wanted to be different than you for this one, honestly, for no good reason. But I'm shocked you took Nate, so I'm taking Nikita. Let's go, Nikita.
We're at the Brother Bowl. Le'Veon La Vida Loca versus the Walking Tacos. Derek, you'd be better off putting a bunch of tacos out on the field because you are projected to lose 136.5 to 109.5. Your brother has a much better team than you, and he's going to win. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I mean, you want to give their matchup the right analysis it deserves, but again, Willie's team is dominant in this league. Russell Wilson, Le'Veon Bell, Dalvin Cook, Kenny Galladay, Austin Hooper, Aaron Jones. Patriots defense is the real hero of that team. Yeah, I mean, there's no way Derek upsets his brother this week. So, while I'd like to put in some good analysis, Willie wins by 1,000,000.
He has 3 players currently ranked number 1 in their position.
Is that good? Is that a lot?
Russell Wilson averaging 26 a game, Austin Hooper averaging 18 a game, and the Patriots defense averaging 20 points a game. That's a defense, folks.
They're breaking fantasy this year.
Yes.
All right, finally, we've got Shark Week Jr. versus Big League. Jesse is currently projected to win 111.1 to T's 107.9. When I originally wrote this, it looks like Jesse has made some pickups, so those comments no longer stand. But Dallas Goedert is Jesse's starting tight end, so that's a bit of a woof. He's got Stephon Diggs. We'll see if he can repeat. Rodgers against Oakland safety. Mark Ingram's a stud against Seattle, though. I don't know how much they're going to be running. T has Jared Goff against Atlanta. Is that right? Is that Atlanta?
Yep.
So that should be a really good matchup for Goff. Melvin Gordon against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett's a beast. Adam Thielen should be okay. Jason Witten, whatever. He's not bad.
He's old.
I'm not thrilled about the Seahawks defense, but they're at home, I guess. Do I have to pick between Jesse and T? Can I just say they both are mediocre? I don't know.
They both lose?
They both lose.
Just for the sake of fun, I'm going to go with T because I want to see them both at 4-3.
You want to see them both at 4-3? Okay, Mark Ingram, Julio Jones. These matchups are really throwing me. All right, I'm going to go with T as well. I think Goff has a blowout week here, and he outscores his projection.
All right.
Josh, do you have any other thoughts on Week 7 in the Redraft League?
No, not really. I think it's going to be a great week for fantasy football. Love you all. Have a great night. Go to sleep 6.
Josh, so at Week 4 we had a game, so this is now our outro. You gonna whip up a game for next week or no? I don't know, because in Week 4 it was Overreact. So I don't know what it would be in the middle of the season, but
I might be able to. I'm trying to think about what my schedule looks like at work. I don't think I have anything on my calendar, so I might be able to get something done.
Wow, that's again, Josh. This is kind of like a hobby at ours, and you could work at it work on it at home and stuff.
I have hobbies at home. This is a job.
This is a job. Do you get paid to be on the podcast?
On the podcast, kinda.
Who pays you to be on the podcast?
Well, Nikita gets her alone time, so she, slips a couple dollars my way because she doesn't like me.
Happy wife, happy life.
Happy life, you're right.
Happy.
What's in that Arizona over there?
Don't worry about what's in my can. The whole podcast brought to you by this. So we talked about not caring about how long we went, Josh. We're at an hour and a half right now.
Good God. No wonder I'm tired and hungry and angry.
But I wish I could go back in time and tell people to listen to this in 2 chunks, because I wouldn't want to listen to this 90 minutes in a row.
I wouldn't want to listen to us talk for 30 minutes.
It's a miracle we have listeners. Speaking of our beautiful listeners, we'll thank Nikita, your lovely wife. We got Eric's Kester's out there, Ryan
Thanks,
Walters.
lovely wife. I interrupted Garlic for a reason. Love you. I'm going to come say goodnight now.
Eric Landvik, Jamie Morissette, Jamie Hammer, actually, Levi Oki, Zach Wells, Brian K. Noop, Andrew Morissette, that's the correct one, Bradley Canoop, Jesse Morissette, and Jordan Bates. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget, we have an email, hiddenokesoverdose@gmail.com if you want to reach out. Facebook.com/hoodpod. That's hoodpod. Jesus. Facebook.com/hoodpod. And then Anchor. Anchor.fm/hoodpod, or download the Anchor app and leave us a voicemail on there, and we'll probably play it next week. I don't know. Give us something good. Don't have to do anything crazy, but give us something to talk about, make some funny noises. I don't care. Just, any content that isn't just me and Josh talking back and forth. Leave us a voicemail. Give us something. That's all I got, folks. Thank you, and have a great week. Hour and a half. Sorry, folks. Jesus.